Hey man, just want to let you know that I'm about to start the Stormlight Archive, finally. I haven't heard of that. What do you mean you haven't heard of it? Brandon Sanderson, one of the most well-known names in the fantasy genre. What are you talking about? Is that some sort of like underrated fantasy series or something? What? Yo, what is going on? Thank you so much for joining in. So today, we are going to talk about some of the most underrated fantasy and sci-fi books. Right now, not according to just me, but also some of your favorite booktubers here on YouTube. But also you too, because I posted a tweet a few days ago asking the same thing, and I'm going to go over some of those responses as well. So without further ado, if you're ready, let's dive into it. Alright, starting things off really strong here, we got one of the goats here of the booktube community, with that being PetrikLeo.
Hi everyone, Patrick here.
And his response was the Sun Eater series by Christopher Rocchio, and I can tell you I'm super happy that he is getting into that series, which I think he just dropped in his Demon in White review, which is book number 3 in the series. So going back to the series, this is a 5-book series at the moment, with 2 more planned to come out here pretty soon. And I can tell you that I know this because this is one of my favorite ongoing series. As you can see right behind me, I have the 5 books that are out right now, right there front and center on my bookshelf. So going to the first book, if you haven't read it just yet, that's going to be called Empire of Silence, which came out, I think, back in 2018. Yep, 2018 in July. So looking at it right now on Goodreads, it's sitting at a 4.04 with close to 9,000 ratings, which is super awesome to see that it's growing over time. Hadrian Marlowe, a man revered as a hero and despised as a murderer, chronicles of his tale and galaxy-spanning debut of the Sun Eater series, merging the best of space opera and epic fantasy. And I can definitely tell you that if you haven't read this one just yet, I highly recommend it. It's an amazing series. And also go check out Rocchio's YouTube channel as well, where he's giving out great updates almost on a weekly basis on where he's at in his current work. Alright, the next entry is going to come from libraryofaviking, who has an amazing YouTube channel as well.
Hi guys.
And his response was the Ill-Born series by Daniel T. Jackson. Now this is a series I have not read just yet, but it has been on my radar, especially ever since the Broken Binding team pushed out a special edition version of this book, which was absolutely beautiful. And looking at this book right now, this is sitting at close to 2,000 ratings today at a 4.18, which is awesome to see. And I think this is also relatively pretty new. Coming out, yep, just in 2021, which is not that long ago, right? Long ago. The Lord Adul emerged from the deserts of the Holy Land, possessed with divine powers. He used these to forcibly unite the peoples of Angal before his ascension to heaven. Over 800 years later, in a medieval world which is threatened by war and religious persecution, 4 young men and women begin to develop supernatural abilities. These forbidden and secret powers will shatter the lives that they have known and will force each other to confront the mystery of the ethereal gate which haunts their dreams. This is working for me. This is looking really good so far. So this is definitely something that I already have on my TBR, as you can see. It's making me want to read this even more. So thank you so much, libraryofaviking, for providing us this entry to hopefully be a book that more people add to their TBR, because it's looking really promising so far. Alright, next up is by QuinnsIdeas, who has helped me out so much in better understanding the Dune and Hyperion universe, because he has amazing videos that cover both of these and so much more.
Hi guys, it's me, Quinn.
But his response to me wasn't necessarily a book, but an author named Peter F. Hamilton, which I have not read any of his books, but looking at his profile here on Goodreads, I'm seeing that he has 882 distinct works. I'm just gonna look at number 1 here, which is called Pandora's Star, which is gonna be book number 1 in the Commonwealth Saga. And this is an author I definitely have not read just yet. So thank you so much, Quinn, for providing us this author. Pandora's Star is currently sitting at a 4.23 with close to 50,000 ratings and 2,600 reviews, which is also amazing to see. The year is 2380. The interstellar Commonwealth, a sphere of stars, some 400 light years in diameter, contains more than 600 worlds, interconnected by a web transport tunnels known as wormholes. Well, that's already sounding pretty cool. At the farthest edge of the Commonwealth, astronomer Dudley Bose observes the impossible. Over 1,000 light years away, a star vanishes. It does not go supernova. It does not collapse into a black hole. It simply disappears. Yeah, this is another book that's sounding very interesting. Something that seems like it'd be right up my alley, especially because I'm a huge fan of sci-fi, as you could probably tell with my channel here anyways. And this is an author I haven't read just yet, so this is something I'm gonna add to the TBR right now.
Oh yeah!
Yeah, thank you so much, Quinn, for providing us this author I have not heard just yet until now. Alright, the next booktuber is going to be Jonathan Koan, who has an absolute amazing channel that covers a lot of Star Wars and other sci-fi and fantasy related content, and he's helping me out a lot in terms of Star Wars, so thank you so much.
Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Koan.
But in terms of what his response was, he actually gave us two. One for sci-fi and one for fantasy, and this one looks like it's going to be for fantasy, with that being The Rune Lords by David Farland. And looking at this book on Goodreads, it's currently sitting at a 3.77 with close to 20,000 ratings but 654 reviews. And this is a book I definitely not heard of. I also have not heard of the author either. This is something that's pretty interesting to me. The cover looks pretty cool. I think that almost kind of reminds me of like the Lord of the Rings ghost almost in terms of that cover right there. Overall, this looks like a quintessential epic fantasy tale, and I apologize right now if I butcher any of these words. Sometimes in fantasy we have some weird words that are a little bit hard to pronounce, so I apologize now. Young Prince Gaborn Val Orden of Mystaria is traveling in disguise on a journey to ask for the hand of a lovely Princess Loam in Silveresta. When he and his warrior bodyguard spot a pair of assassins who have set their sights on a princess's father, the pair race to warn the king of the impending danger and realizes that more than royal family is at risk, the very fate of Earth is in jeopardy. So yeah, sounding really interesting so far. It came out back in 1998, 613 pages, and that is The Rune Lords, which looks like it's a part of a series, with this being book number 1. Yeah, there's a lot in here. 12 total works, 9 primary works, so this could be a long time series if you're interested in this book so far. Alright, the next book by Jonathan is on the sci-fi side of things, with that being a book by Timothy Zahn, which I have not read any of his work just yet, but I know he is huge in the Star Wars world of things in terms of the books that he pushes out. But in this case, Jonathan gave us a book called Conqueror's Pride, which I have not read, of course, since I haven't read any Timothy Zahn just yet. This is part of a series called the Conqueror's Saga, with this being book number 1. So looking at this one, it's sitting at a 3.91 right now with only 3,000 ratings, 117 reviews, so this one could definitely be underrated, with me not hearing about it at all. A long era of peace and prosperity in the interstellar commonwealth has suddenly come to an end. 4 alien starships known as the Origin have attacked, without provocation. An 8-ship peacemaker task force, utterly destroying it in 6 savage minutes. The authorities claim that there is no survivors, but Lord Stuart Kavanaugh, a former member of the parliament, has learned through back channels that one man may have survived to be captured by the aliens, his son, Commander Phelan Kavanaugh. A large-scale invasion appears imminent, and the stricter security measures are in effect. Yeah, that, so far, seems pretty interesting. I think any story around rescuing a family member is huge because I think a lot of people can easily connect to it because it can hit home pretty easily. So yeah, that is book number 1, Conqueror's Pride in the Conqueror's Saga. So thank you so much again, Jonathan, for providing us these 2 books I have not heard of just yet. Alright, the next booktuber is going to be KaysHiddenShelf.
Hi everyone, my name is Kayla and welcome back to KaysHiddenShelf, where we talk about books.
Who gave me a book I have never heard of before, with that being Nomads of the Sea by Kobe Zucker. And looking at this one on Goodreads, it's sitting at a 4.39 right now with only 18 ratings and 11 reviews. So this book seems like it's relatively pretty new. It came out back in 2022, so not that long ago, right? So I personally have not heard of Kobe Zucker before, but I think this is his debut novel. Now looking at his profile right here, yeah, it looks like, yeah, one distinct work, so that's really cool to see that we have a debut author on here in terms of an underrated series. With a cover that looks pretty interesting here. That's giving me Aquaman type of vibes for some reason, because we have that sea background and we also have that nautical looking font, at least to me, in terms of the book title.
If you lead.
I'm gonna say this one more time as well. I apologize if I say these names wrong, but I'm gonna try my best. In the Nisi Archipelago, a civil war festers. Zealous insurgents burn villages across the islands in an effort to return the Mangal people to the sea and free themselves over their Lycan overlords. Sig of the Mandel, the son of the diplomat, must combat the growing threat. As he stamps down the rebellion, he quickly finds out his talent for bloodshed surpassing his talent for peace. Idalia Goss is attached to the Lycan company that has been sent to aid the loyalists. The daughter of the renowned physician and arcane scholar, her task is to learn more about the Mangal mages who far outstrip the mainland sorcerers. Her efforts are hindered by the dark reputation of her predecessors. Yeah, this one sounded very interesting here. We have a lot going on in terms of political intrigue. Also, we have a magic system going on here as well. And also, it looks like we got some action-packed things happening too in terms of this bloodshed, surpassing the talents of peace. So overall, very fantastic looking book here. Then I really appreciate Kay's Hidden Bookshelf for providing us this book. Alright, the next booktuber is going to be Tori Tekken, who is not only a booktuber, she also released a book a couple weeks ago, or even less than that, called The Bloodstones.
Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Tori.
And her response to me was the Long Price Quartet, which is a series by Daniel Abraham. And for you guys who did not know, Daniel Abraham also worked on the Expanse series, which I absolutely love. And this is a series that's definitely been on my radar for a while now, because I heard a lot of good things about it, with book number 1 being called A Shadow in Summer, where it's currently sitting at a 3.60 right now, with close to 13,000 ratings, almost 1,000 reviews. And as you can see, it's already on my TBR right now. In the city-state of Saraket, dominates the summer cities. Its wealth is beyond measure. Its port is open to all merchants of the world, and its ruler, the Kai Saraket, commands forces to rival the gods. Commerce and trade fill the streets of hundreds of languages, and the coffers of wealthy with jewels and gold. Any desire, however, exotic or base, can be satisfied with a soft quarter. Blissfully ignorant of the forces that fuel their prosperity, the people live and work to secure in the knowledge that their city is a bastion of progress in a harsh world. It would be a tragedy if it fell. A little bit ominous there in terms of the city potentially falling. Saraket is poised on the knife edge of disaster. So yeah, this is definitely sounding very interesting. It's definitely intriguing me even more to read it, so yeah, thank you so much, Tori, for providing us this book that I know I want to get to at some point in the future here pretty soon. Alright, the next booktuber is going to be a guy who's been supporting my channel for a while now, and again, I really appreciate that too. That's going to be Christopher Navo, who has a booktube channel that you can go check out today, where he provides weekly updates on what he's currently reading and what he has going on.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the next chapter. My name is Christopher Navo.
And what's interesting is that Christopher Navo gave me a book that we've already talked about, with that being, again, The Long Price Quartet by Daniel Abraham, which we just talked about. So it's super awesome to see that we have 2 different booktubers who both recommend this as an underrated series for us to check out. And again, it's already interested me, it's on my TBR today, so maybe it should be on yours as well if you haven't read it just yet. Alright, the next booktuber is going to be MattsFantasyReviews.
Hey everybody, this is Matt from MattsFantasyBookReviews, and
who gave me a book I've never heard of before, and an author I also have never heard of, with that being The Wandering Inn by Pirate Aba. I'm so sorry if I'm saying that wrong. It looks like the word pirate and then Aba at the end, so hopefully I said that right. But going back to the book, it's called The Wandering Inn, which I believe it's in the series called The Wandering Inn. And looking at the reviews right now, it's sitting at a 4.30 with close to 7,050 ratings, about 756 reviews. So it's looking pretty good so far for The Wandering Inn, a book I've never heard of. No killing goblins. What does that mean? I don't know. So reads the sign outside The Wandering Inn, a small building run by a young woman named Erin Solstice. She serves the pasta with sausage, blue fruit juice, and dead acid flies on request. Someone requested dead acid flies, and she comes from another world, ours. It's a bad day when Erin finds herself transported to a fantastical world and nearly gets eaten by a dragon. She doesn't belong in a place where monster attacks are a fact of life and where humans are one species among many, but she must adapt to her new life or die. Ooh. So yeah, this is sounding pretty interesting so far. Ooh. That is a big book right here. 1,235 pages, so that is a chonker for sure. And scrolling down a little bit, here is Matt himself with that 5-star rating for The Wandering Inn. It sounds like a really cozy fantasy read, so thank you again, Matt, for providing us this book I haven't heard of before. And this seems like a common trend right now. There's so many books I haven't heard of, so thank you guys so much. And I guess while we're here, I might as well give my own underrated fantasy pick, with that being the Blood and Steel Saga by E.J. Doble. These books I absolutely treasure now, with them both being a fantastic grimdark experience that I rated this one 4.5 and this one 5.0 on Goodreads right now. And look at the Blood and Steel Saga on Goodreads. The first book is called The Fangs of War, but she's currently sitting at a 4.38 right now with 58 ratings, 34 reviews. And one of those reviews is mine. After the brutal execution of Provinci's king, by the roving forces of Taraz, a new military government vaults into power with the nefarious Alvarez at the helm. Hell-bent on bloodshed and the glory of an imperial past, he amasses the largest army seen in a generation and plunges the two nations in a bloody war against the will of a godlike being known as the All-Mother. And I can't recommend this series enough because book number 2, by the way, was one of my top reads of the year, with that being The Horns of Grief. And if you're a little bit hesitant on starting a new series by an indie author, he also has a prequel novella called The Crown of Omens, which I think is around 100 pages-ish. So go ahead and check that one out first to get a little bit of a taste of his writing style, his action, and also his prose, which I highly recommend for you guys to go check out. Alright, next up is you guys. So everyone that did respond to my tweet a few days ago, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much. The first one actually was another booktube channel, with that being Centered Shelf, being Bryce from that channel, and he gave us a series I have not heard of before, and that seems to be a common trend with me lately, is that there's so many books I haven't heard of. So this one is being called Janie Wart's Wars of Light and Shadow, and he's saying that they should be mentioned in every top list that has George R.R. Martin, Abercrombie, Rothfuss, Sanderson, etc. So that is ultra high praise. That's making me want to read this, or at least check it out even more. So looking at the first book here, that first book is called The Curse of the Mist Wraith. And look at the cover. This gives me vibes of just like classic fantasy, and I'm really digging it with that portal like in the middle with it showing like a whole different world. It's really working for me so far. And right now it's sitting at 3.77 with over 5,000 ratings, 348 reviews. So that is awesome to see. The world of Athora lives in eternal fog, its skies obscured by the malevolent Mist Wraith. Only the combined powers of two half-brothers can challenge the Mithray stranglehold, Atherion, Master of Shadows, and Lacer, Lord of Light. I probably butchered those names really bad, but I'm sorry, but overall, it is sounding really interesting, and this Mist Wraith ordeal is sounding really cool. So, thank you so much, Bryce, for providing us this series that is underrated. And this one's a chunky one too, 830 pages, so that is awesome to see. In a series that has 11 primary works, 20 books in total, so that is a big amount. So this could be a long-term read for you guys, especially if you love that first one. Alright, the next response is going to be by Servants of the Moon and Sun, and he's telling us that we need to try out an author named Lou Kemp. It's a steampunk peyote eating immortal magician Holmes and an automation Watson on a train riding fighting vampires and witches. So yeah, that sounds pretty interesting. So let's go check it out on Goodreads. I'm pretty sure we're talking about this series right now called Kelwyn. With this being book number 1, the violins played before Dunstan. And looking at this book right now on Goodreads, 4.40 with 40 ratings, 29 reviews. Kelwyn has avoided caring about anyone for hundreds of years, but he's about to learn the advantage and cost of true friendship. While on a mission to avenge the death of his lover, the immortal peyote-eating magician Kelwyn is hired to deliver an automat, Professor Kang, to a priest. But Kelwyn quickly learns that everything the priest told him was a lie. Now his ship, the Zelda, is stuck in a horrific storm, and Kelwyn knows he must reconsider his allegiance if he is to steer the vessel in the right direction and continue his quest. All I can say right now is that I hope I am saying that word right. Peyote-eating magician.
Peyote.
Peyote. So yeah, overall it sounds really interesting, and I'm glad I can say that word right now. So thank you again, Servants of the Moon and Sun. But the next response here is going to be by Esme Rosalind, who has a book by Sarah Korn, which deserves so much more love. She is a masterful and incredibly gifted storyteller. If she had to pick one, The Necessity of Rain. So again, this one's called The Necessity of Rain, and it has 59 ratings at the moment. It currently is sitting at a 4.53 with 59 ratings, which is awesome to see. And let's check it out a little bit more. It begins with a butterfly in chains. Come on, why would you put a butterfly in chains, man? Come on. Since the dawn of time, life has been comfortable and predictable. The gods have wrested pockets of creation from chaos, formed civilizations, and built entire realities. Now the nature of creation is changing and the divine are losing their divinity. Rosemary, the daughter of a god creation, can no longer deny this when a strange delegation from Dawnland braves the pass through chaos and survives, come to negotiate trade and protection agreements with the divine Meadowsweet. It is the butterfly woman who captivates Rosemary, the weight of her sorrow, and the heaviness of her secrets. So this is an author in a book I have not read just yet, so I really appreciate you providing this response to me and us checking out here today. Alright, the next response is going to be by Chris Ritchie, who I know is an author of his own book, but he's telling us that he really loved The Timeline Wars by John Barnes. And I can tell you this is a book I have not heard of, or an author I haven't heard of just yet. So looking at this first one, the first book is called Patent Spaceship. And this definitely looks like it came out in the 90s, which is always cool to see, these classic covers. And this one's really interesting because we have like a gun that you can typically see, today with like a futuristic looking laser gun. And Patent Spaceship is currently sitting at a 3.78 with 302 ratings and 27 reviews. Combining the suspense of a detective thriller with the awesome wonder of space-time adventure, Crux of Battle begins an epic tale of war across 1 million alternate Earths. Alright, what does that mean? We got some alternate reality action going on here, which I can always be a fan of, so very interesting. And that's all I have for you today. There are so many books on there that I have not heard of until today, so I really appreciate all the responses I got, especially the booktubers who I reached out personally to. Thank you so much again. So hopefully you found a book in here that interests you so you can add it to your TBR today. And if you've read any of these books so far, let me know down below which one was your favorite. And if you have any books that you think is underrated, let me know down below as well, because I want to know. And for sticking around this long, you've earned 1 XP token. And if you're already a subscriber, you get an extra XP token. So here you go. Have a good one. Keep reading. Peace.